looked like he was with Gabe and Kyle there, but then the power play drills and he's on the bench and you had a chat with him and he didn't. Did something happen during practice?
No, he just felt what was bothering him was still a little bit there, so it needs a little more time. Did he make it worse in practice? No, but it's still there. So we got the break coming up, and Prudence will tell you, let's give him that extra time. If he needs it, he needs it.
Safe to say then he will not play tomorrow?
He will not play tomorrow.
Okay. When practice would have started, would you have told us that there's a chance he would? Or?
Practice, I would have said, I hope we get through practice and he can play.
I guess if there's a silver lining, Rick, it's pretty clear once you activate Mark, like a roster decision would have to be made. This maybe allows you to put that down the road a little longer?
And we have to put it off, yes.
Yeah. We did speak with Gabe Velarde and Josh Morrissey. They both seemed to suggest that they would be good to go tomorrow.
Yeah, well, with these injuries like that, you give it, you don't write it in stone. It's a day-to-day thing. Well, there'll be game time decisions, and in all likelihood they can play, but you never know. You never know how they're going to show up tomorrow, so you keep an open mind on that. But I would say I would label them both game time decisions.
Yeah, and you spoke the other day, you were talking about the power play, and it's true, we haven't seen kind of all these guys necessarily together for very long this year. So there must be some excitement for that, but as you say, you also want to err on the side of not rushing anything, right?
Yeah, we're not going to rush anyone back from an injury ever. If there's anything bothering them, they're not playing. They'll only play if they're close to possible. Again, no one's 100% at this time of the year. Let's not kid ourselves. So, but if there's any danger of further risking that injury, then they're not going to play. The power play, yeah, we said from training camp we'd like to see that. Okay, but that's, you live with that. There's no excuses for the other part of it. The second unit has looked good. They've scored goals. They moved it around. We've had a tough time getting a consistent number one group. Yes, we have. But again, it doesn't mean you can't go out and score. It doesn't mean you can't go out and create chances. And they work. They do. We had some good looks the other night. They just didn't score.
Rick, how is Cole Perfetti handling, dealing with, it's probably all the same things, the ebbs and flows of being a young player and maybe doing the right things and not getting the results that he might want?
Yeah, he's played well. Again, Cole from day one has been, every game he's in our top 9. He's been on every power play, and again, his first really full year of playing. So yeah, it's growing pains, and there's he's still adjusting. You see a lot of good things clearly, and there's still things that we're working with him on parts of his game to make him better, to make him adjust a little easier for the tempo and the physicality of the league.
How do you and the coaching staff kind of handle his maybe frustrations, the highs and the lows, that sort of thing?
I talk to him. I talk to Cole quite a bit. Yeah, and he understands when there's a lot of penalties, like we have 5 penalties, that affects his ice time. But one of the things I always do after every period I go in, I look at you guys look at minutes, I look at shift totals. I try to make sure his shift totals are up there. So some guys take longer shifts than others, but the shift totals, they should all be very close. With our top 9, obviously the top line is going to play a few more minutes and a few more shifts, but I always make sure that with the shift totals that they're up there. Again, some shifts are shorter than others. Some guys stay out there 50-50, some guys change to 38, and you take 10 different shifts, that adds up quick on the minutes, right? So, but his shift totals have been very consistent for the most part with the other guys.
And just a final one on Cole. I remember you saying, I don't know when it was, but you said you've been hard on Jason Robertson before, hard on Rope Hands. Is that the same with Cole? Like, would you be hard on him because he can handle it, or?
No, I use different tones with Cole. Yep.
You can expand on that?
No, but he's like those other two. He's got high hockey IQ. You just got to learn. You just got to approach different guys different ways, and what you don't like and what you do like. But Cole's a very smart kid, so I handle him differently than I handled the other two. But I did back off on the other two after a while when they started to go. Got to know when to back off too.
For me, that's a very fascinating idea. Like you'd reference his intelligence in that. Do you sort of have to do more of the explaining why? Do you have to soften things to explain reasoning more so than just my way or it? Like what is that difference?
No, it's not just the words you use when you're talking to these guys, it's the tone you use. I think that's just as important. With Cole, again, his hockey IQ and his personality, it's a very calm tone, and he gets it.
Also, I looking at minutes kind of deal, I think I was listening to you talking to Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick there, and you reference using your top line. That's like one of your key scoring lines. Mark Scheifele often, Adam Lowry's line was going. Is it fair to say when you manage your bench and you're looking at matchups and minutes, those two lines are your rocks, and then kind of the line after that is?
Yep, they got to get their minutes, and Adam's going to go against the best line. That's that's the reality of it. That's their job. Their job is, that line is to go out there and play against the opposition's top line as much as you can. You don't get that on the road, obviously, but at home. But I'm also when they're healthy, not afraid to run Mark head-to-head with anybody as well, the way he's playing both ends of the ice. So, but those two lines are your focal point, yeah. But then you got to make sure that other line gets enough minutes to stay in the game, and that's when penalties disrupt everything, because sometimes your line mate's out there killing penalties. Now you got to wait a shift to get him back, right? So that's the line juggling that sometimes ends up going on, especially after a penalty or after a power play. You usually, I know who I'm coming back with after a power play, and sometimes after a penalty kill, you got to make sure that the other guys are getting back in the flow of the game as well.
I remember looking at like a Vegas last year, and you're thinking, man, like every line can hurt you in some way.
Yep.
So like heading into perhaps a playoff run or at least a stretch run and all of that, what does that next line, whether it's Perfetti or Ehlers or whomever, what do they need to make sure that they're managing the game the way you want, the way that they can count? You can count?
Well, again, we want them all to be responsible defensively, and we do. So when you don't get the last matchups, or if you don't find them playing enough, you got to throw them out there against, regardless who they're against. You got to trust them. That bottom line is, you want to sit here and say, yeah, we want them all to look the same. Well, you got to let them show that you can trust them too. You got to give them those opportunities, and they've all been given that. We've thrown our fourth line out against the opposition's best line at times. We played the other line against the opposition's top line at times, just building that trust that, okay, if we sit here and say, well, why don't you look the same way with the puck? Well, give them that opportunity. So, yeah, we don't hide. We haven't hidden anyone. We really haven't. We're not afraid to go. We got to trust them. And if it doesn't work, then you walk them through and you make them better, so the next time it happens, they'll handle it better. I don't want them going out there, oh God, it's a top line. They just got to trust themselves. We trust them. They got to trust themselves.
I also feel like Winnipeg Jet hockey, the big priority, the big rock is the defensive structure, and then things kind of follow from that. A tiny slip in offense of late. I don't know if that's a trend. What do you got to do?
No, we went over it this morning with them. In Toronto, specifically in Toronto, we didn't play well at all the first two periods of Boston, so don't worry about that. I mean, it was just bad hockey. But in Toronto, there was offensive plays that we could have made that we didn't. And so that's on us. It wasn't so much what Toronto was doing. We made bad decisions with the puck. So we cleaned that up in video this morning. We addressed it on ice in practice. So we created enough chances to score, obviously 1 or 2 goals. But we still left offensive opportunities out there that we didn't make the right play. It doesn't mean it's going to go in the net, but there was better options to make the play with the puck than we showed. That's what we were kind of figuring out this morning on the video, and why we worked on it again in practice this morning. There are more chances to help our offense. That was on us, yes.
Guys had such a good first half, and you're heading to your first All-Star game. What's your status for next year?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm worried about tomorrow. My status for now, I haven't even given that any thought.
Right. You're not under contract for next year.
Pardon me?
You're not under contract for next year.
I don't even, okay, I think the last time I thought about my contract was the day I signed it. So,
that's what I thought.
No, I'm not one worried about it. No, it hasn't changed one bit.
Talks of a renewal ongoing or anything?
No. doesn't listen. I don't need a contract for next year. Give me. I don't need that. It's like I told the players last year. I'm not here trying to extend my career or go somewhere else. So I'm not worried about that stuff anymore. I'm good.
You're having as much fun as ever, though, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a great group. I love working with these guys. They're good guys, and their hearts are in the right place. And I love working with them. They work hard. They're committed. And you challenge them after the Boston game, they respond. They responded going into the third, and they responded going into Toronto. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a good rapport, and I'm having fun with it. Absolutely.
There's no way this is your swan song.
Pardon me?
There's no way this is your swan song.
Oh, God, I wouldn't even think about that, Paul. Come on, man. I'm having fun. No, I tell Judy, as long as we still love it, still love coming to the rink, still love the challenges of dealing with you guys. Come on. No, but I still love the game. Like, games on the line in that third period, I love that stuff. Right, that's the exciting part, and where we are in the standings, it gets the adrenaline going. So yeah, I've got lots to give yet.
Just one last one from me. Whether it's tomorrow or at some point here, maybe even before the trade deadline, is there any desire to see what Gabe Vilardi might look like as a centerman with your group? I know Cole was there obviously to start the year and then moved into the wing. But we haven't really seen Gabe there much, obviously the injury and that, but would that be an option at some point?
We did try during games to put him out there, and it just didn't look as comfortable as he does on the right side. And I've heard that he had played a little center and he takes some face-offs, but there were some spells during periods that we put him in the middle, and it just looked to us like he was far more comfortable on the wing. And then he's just some guys you can do that to. Laddie, you can do that to. Other guys you can do that to. Gabe looked a lot more comfortable on the wing than he did at center. Good. See you tomorrow.